if you have experience underwriting, you'll be able to essentially just look at a unit and determine, is it going to be $4,000 to update this to what we want, or $7,000? I know for our underwriting, and the types of deals that we look at, it's usually, generally between $4,000 and $7,000 per unit, depending on the condition and how high of a value we're going to do. But you want to, of course, finalize this and get the actual numbers during the due diligence process. And the two reports that you need for this one is I guess it's technically three, but it's the property condition assessment, which you'll have a third-party contractor perform, and then also the lender will perform their own. And basically what that'll do is the contractor will walk the building, and they will break apart the conditions into three different categories. It will be anything that's immediate repairs, recommended repairs, and then continued or ongoing replacements. So the kind of self-explanatory, but immediate are things that need to be replaced like right away, either right when you take over the property or before you even buy it. Recommended repairs are things that you don't necessarily have to do, but are recommended by the contractor. And then ongoing repairs would be things that, the roof is got a life of 20 years and you're at a 15-year mark, so expect to have to replace the roof within 5 years. So this PCA is more for the exterior of the property. I'm not necessarily sure if they actually walk through each of the individual units. So this is the report that'll help you finalize your exterior budget. So, HVAC, siding, roof, lights, parking lot, things like that. And I'm sorry, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, every unit is walked through. And I'll also say on the first part and on this part, you mentioned it's primarily, initially it's on the T12, and so you're making sure it lines up with the T12. But then also, in addition to the T12, you're making sure it lines up with your assumptions that you have in place for where you can take the property in the future. So in addition to the T12, it's also verifying, helping verify that the renovation premiums are able to be achieved. And like in this category, in terms of looking at the units, we're seeing how much work is needed to be done currently, but then also we're keeping in the forefront of our mind where we want to take the property in these units relative to the rent comps that we're going to be competing against in the future, and make sure that those cost assumptions are lining up.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was going to do next. The second report that you need to look at for the renovation budget, and this, again, as you mentioned, this also ties into the rental premiums that you want, is the unit walk report. So that's when the property management company literally walks through every single unit, and depending on the property management company, they'll have a checklist of they'll have their own checklist of what they're actually going to look for. So they'll look at the condition of the appliances in the kitchen, the plumbing in the bathroom. They'll look at the conditions of the floors or the carpets. Essentially an extreme overview of the actual unit to, as Joe mentioned, look at deferred maintenance. So if there's anything that needs to be fixed up front to either make that unit ready if it's vacant, or something that you're going to have to fix once that unit turns over. But secondly, you also want to log information to determine what you need to do to that unit to bring it to the level that you want to get the rental premium that you want. So say, for example, a unit doesn't need any deferred maintenance, but your plan is to put in new floors, put in backsplash in the kitchen, put in stainless steel appliances. This is an example, and every single unit has black appliances, has maybe like vinyl floors or something, and no backsplash. Then that's technically not a maintenance issue. That's a renovation. That's what you want to do for the renovation. So that's where that unit walk report will help you determine exactly how much money you're going to spend per unit in order to bring it to rent ready, and then to bring it to the actual level of upgrade that you want to get the rental premium that you want. And kind of on that same note, I'll kind of combine it together is actually how to figure out these rental rates. There are a few ways to do this while you're underwriting. One way is to do a full rental comps yourself. So that would be finding not recent sales, but finding similar apartments in the immediate area that are renovated to a similar degree. They're built around the same time. They have the same type of operations in a sense of they are, they all have the same, they all have the utilities paid by the same, entity. So either the tenants or you. You'll look at the rents of those and compare them to the rents that you currently have to determine what your rents will be once you've gotten to that level of upgrade. But if the current owner has already performed some upgrades that you plan on just replicating, you can use their proven rental assumptions, and that means that they have recently upgraded these units. It's not like they upgraded one unit that year and then they've gotten a rent and you say, oh, well, everything's going to be like that. It has to be, they've renovated 10 to 15 units and probably even more than that, Joe. How many units would you say they need to have renovated in order for it to be determined as a proven model?
It's usually not necessarily a specific number. It's more of a percent. And I'd say 10% would be the minimum.
Okay.
20% is, 50. My ideal scenario is buying from a seller who has renovated 15%. That's certainly a proven the model. And there's certainly a whole lot left to add value to. Unless I'm incredibly familiar with the submarket. And if that's the case, then 0%. I don't care if they prove the model because I already know the units can get a rent premium. And so I want to be able to realize all of that additional value through the work that our team does.
Yeah. So you want enough for it to be proven, but not too much that they've already done too many renovations that you're not going to be able to get that value at play.
Yep.
Okay. So that's a second way to determine the rental premiums is a proven rental comps. We have proven rental premiums. And the third way is kind of a hybrid, because let's say you are buying a property that they have done some sort of, they've done some renovations to, but you want to go above and beyond that when you buy the property. Then you can, use the proven rental comps to figure out, the kind of the baseline of what you can get if you replicated what they did. But then you also need to look at actual, rental comps. So properties in the area that have that, similar units to what you plan on doing above and beyond them in order to determine what the rental premium are going to be. Those are the three ways to do it prior to the due diligence process. And that's how you get your rental premium assumptions. In order to confirm them, you want to use the market survey report, which is a detailed rental comp that is performed by your property management company. And so they essentially do the same thing that you did, but since they have access to, the MLS, they can run an automated report to provide you with a detailed a PDF file of all of the different apartments that they used and the rents and the upgrades for those buildings, and then the rents that they're able to get, and then you can compare that to what you plan on doing to just finalize to confirm or change your rental premiums.